You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 219 for Sunday the 22nd of July 2018.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my good friend Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Well, today I have got our good friends Kat and Lewis from Dis Down Under, and we are going to talk about our favourite unique Disney attractions. So, g'day there.
Hey Michelle, how you going?
Doing well. How's my Lewis?
G'day Michelle, how's it?
It's going well. I think we're having the Australian weather here and you're having our windy, coldy, rainy stuff.
Horrible. It was like 20 degrees today. It's freezing. I'm all rugged up, got my doona out.
I've no idea what a doona is, and 20 degrees is summer.
Oh, it's like a duvet. We like to be somewhat hypochondriacs when it comes to the cold weather over here.
That's right.
Oh, well, we're the total opposite. If it hits, 15 degrees, you will find people in northern England, still wearing T-shirts and flip-flops because we're hard.
You are. Real tough up there.
I tell you. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the clothing apparel of my comrades in arms over here in the United Kingdom. We are going to be talking about Disney attractions. Now, unfortunately, when we start thinking about Walt Disney World and Disneyland Paris and Disneyland, those are the only parks I can talk about because those are the only ones I've literally been to. However, Kat and Lewis are part of the We've Done the Lot Club. So I'm drawing on your specialist knowledge here, guys.
Oh, specialist knowledge. Well, it's been fun to actually gather this specialist knowledge, that's for sure.
And the good thing is about Disney, our specialist knowledge will have to keep on being refreshed as they open more attractions.
That's true. That's very true. Got a wild couple of years coming up, really, when you think about it. There's going to be a lot of stuff opening.
Yeah, particularly like Hong Kong and Tokyo. So, whew.
Ant-Man and the Wasp ride. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, no, it does. Look forward to that.
I must admit, I saw the trailer for this in the theatre the other night. I was actually awake for this bit as well, which was quite amazing. And it does look a really unique film because I'm not a big sort of superhero type of genre film lover, but I thought, I can see myself seeing this one. It's got humour.
Well, it is one of the more humorous of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. So it's really, really good fun. And it's more aimed at a younger audience as well, I think, like probably 10 to teenagers. But I mean, everyone can enjoy it, but I think they're aiming for a lower.
I was going to say, that's why I liked it so much.
Well, no doubt we'll probably get it sometime in December because our release dates seem to be totally off sync with the rest of the world.
Just wait for somebody to win the World Cup and everything will go back to normal.
Ugh, don't mention football. So before we crack on with our attraction chat, let's pop on our Kieran to find out what's happening this week in Disney history.
Hello, and welcome to This Week in Disney History. Let's get started, shall we? On the 22nd of July 1949, Alan Menken was born. This Academy Award-winning songwriter is responsible for his work on the soundtracks for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and many more. Now, for an attraction opening. On this day in 1994, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror attraction opens its doors on Sunset Boulevard in the MGM Studios. This is a fun drop ride based around the TV show The Twilight Zone. Onwards to the 24th of July in 1989, and Tony's Town Square restaurant opened in Town Square in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Moving on to the 25th, and this day in 2003 saw the closing of the Disney Institute, which was a holiday and learning center spearheaded by Michael Eisner. Now on to the 26th of July 1951, The 13th Disney animated feature film, Alice in Wonderland, had its world premiere in Leicester Square, England. 2 days later, it was released in the USA. Sad news: on the 27th of July 2011, Jennings Osborne passed away at the age of 67. Jennings was a businessman who, in 1986, began lighting their home for the Christmas season. It began with a modest 1,000 lights, but year by year it grew to over 3 million lights and features. Neighbours were not happy about this, and they finally won a final hearing in the Supreme Court, forcing the spectacle to cease. However, Walt Disney World project director John Fallon contacted their attorney and asked to purchase the lights. In 1995, the lights shone proudly in Disney's Hollywood studios until their final Christmas season in 2015/2016. And that's it for this week in Disney history.
Many moons ago, we said we were going to start a little bit of a discussion about our favourite unique attractions. And firstly, guys, what to you makes an attraction unique?
Oh, that's a good point, because sometimes it's just that little twist on a ride, but often it's having something that's just a completely different experience from anywhere else in the world. So I think that the obvious one, if you're going to talk about the parks over in Asia, would have to be Tron. There is nothing else like that in Disney. It's probably the most unique ride I think I've ever been on.
Yeah, it was pretty stunning. Like for the line, like that moment in the queue where you're standing in this room and then the wall in front of you just dissolves into a window and you actually see the ride launch. I mean, from there it was just like the anticipation to get onto those bikes was just amazing. It was like, oh my God, I can't wait to actually, because you'd already actually seen the bikes and you'd seen the ride in action, because outside the ride there's that open air bit. So when you're entering, you see the bikes just shooting past you, and it just builds the anticipation of going on it.
That's true. And just like the ride system, I mean, I know that they've it sounds like Flight of Passage, not having been on it yet. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like it uses a similar system in that you're sort of sitting on it like a motorbike. You've got something sort of holding you in place from behind. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yeah, the sort of fastening part is over your lower leg, and you're sort of hunched forward over the bicycle, but this bicycle doesn't technically move apart from elevating and decreasing, so I suppose that's where the similarities completely end, because this attraction relies completely on the screens around you. But let's go back to Tron.
Yes.
And the motorcycles on Tron don't breathe. So there's that element as well. But I do remember that you put your feet in the thing, and when it comes down, you actually, pretty sure there is something goes on
across
your ankle.
Your back, yeah.
Across your back and also on your ankle as well, to keep that in place. I was actually concerned because I've been in the gym, and I went, I think I'll concentrate on my calves. I'll do some more calf workout stuff. And I'm going, don't want to make them too big, because I've heard some people get big calves and they can't close properly on the ride. So I was like, don't want to make it, because I'm trying to not bulk up, but I'm trying to get a bit more muscular, so that when we're in WDW at the Magic Kingdom, I can go and do a pose down with Gaston. That's my plan. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's hilarious. For those who aren't seeing Lewis, while you're quite well built, you've got tiny little spindly legs. So your calves are never going to be too big.
Come on, they're fair size. But no, it's the Tron ride's just amazing. There's a screen-based portion of it as well. It's such a good mixture of being in a physical ride with screens, because the screens aren't. You'd enjoy the ride without them being there, but they just add an extra element. Like when you see that you're going side by side with another motorcycle, and then that motorcycle just wobbles and crashes and stuff. It's just really immersive.
Oh, highly immersive. And I think that the thrill aspect of actually going face first, I know that I was quite worried going onto this ride at first, but by the time it got up to our second or third run on it, We were put in the front, and I was just like, I don't know whether I can do this.
No, we requested the front.
Oh, did we request it? Pardon me.
Because the line actually, when you go there, you go on the general line, and that'll take you to whichever seat's available. But you can request the front, and then you just go and stand in the line waiting for the front. So if there's no one else, you'll get on it straight away. But if there's 5 people in front of you, then you'll wait until you go on. So it's a great way of doing it because so many people want the front. And so it's a great way of being able to allow them to do that, even if they have to wait a bit longer.
Well, because despite my worry, that was my favourite thing to do. I didn't want to ride anywhere else, although I am going to ride the back this time.
Yes, the back will be good. Well, I want to try the back on all roller coasters now, just because I've heard that it whips you around a bit more and you get a few more G-forces, and also you get to see the actual thing in front of you. Like the Slinky Dog in the back row has got to be the best.
Yeah, I'll have to get that a shot.
Yeah.
So this is quite a new attraction in comparison because it only opened in June 2016. It is coming to the Magic Kingdom in 2021. So I suppose then it will lose its uniqueness because a lot more people will have had the opportunity to go on it, because obviously that's the number one tourist destination for out of all the Disney parks, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a shame when you do take these unique rides and then just put them in all of the parks. And so it does take away the uniqueness of it, because the idea of traveling to Shanghai to do Tron and to do Pirates, that makes those parks unique and makes it worthwhile for the travel. But if they end up putting Pirates into Magic Kingdom or into Disneyland, then I think people, particularly people from America, are less likely to actually want to travel to these foreign parks. And they need to be encouraged to go and travel to these places because they're awesome.
Travel broadens the mind as well. That's all I'm saying on that. Also, it's not one of the fastest Disney attractions, but it is up there because it's 60 miles per hour. So it is in that sort of realm of being one of the fastest.
Yeah, I suppose it's beaten by Test Track.
Test Track being the fastest, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just such a
great thrill,
ride.
And like Lewis said, it's not just about the ride; it's about the build-up that you get in the queue. It's really, really good.
Fantastic stuff. So moving away from Shanghai, let's go to somewhere else in the world, and I am going to go to something that is the complete opposite spectrum of what we've just discussed, and I'm going to put in Alice in Wonderland attraction in Disneyland.
Ooh, which is one that we've never done.
I know, I remember saying on your show it is one that you've got to do, because to me what makes it unique is because it's a dark ride, but it actually takes you outside on this balcony, and for me it's very reminiscent of my childhood, of going to these little mobile fun fairs, and you'd go on a ghost train and it'd take you out on the top level of the truck and then back in again, and that is sort of, and I know Alice in Wonderland is nowhere near like a ghost train, but it's that element of having a dark ride that takes you to a different dimension, that takes you outside of what it normally is, and then obviously inside it's alive with all the colours and the new technology that they put in there. And when you bear in mind this attraction opened in 1958, it is outstanding. It really is.
Wow, it's almost as old as my parents.
It's older than me.
No, I look forward to going and checking that out. It's certainly one that was not on our list previously, but it's one we will definitely be doing on this next trip.
I highly recommend it. It is very original. It's nice to see that Alice in Wonderland has got some presence in the park. And I know that there are other parks that have elements. Over in Disneyland in Paris, they've got the maze and, you've got the spinning teacups, but it's not quintessentially telling the story of Alice, and that's what I really like about this one.
I just can't wait to get on it. We're going to have to wait. There's days before you're going to get on it.
Not long now. Okay, guys, let's go to another one on your list then.
Sure thing. What are you thinking?
Well, I reckon we should go back to Shanghai and talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, because this is like a truly unique attraction, but it's a truly unique attraction based on an existing attraction and a movie franchise, and it just is sensational because it gives you some of the nostalgia for the original Pirates of the Caribbean ride with some of the early scenes in the ride, but it's thrown on its head because it's like there's a scene with the prisoners and the dog where they're shaking the bone at the dog trying to get him to bring the keys over, but they're all skeletons. They're all dead. So everything at the beginning of this ride is dead and just skeletons. And then you reach a point in the ride where you see this skeleton of Captain Jack, and then all of a sudden it bursts to life and becomes a human Captain Jack. It is the most amazing transition I've ever seen in a ride.
Yeah, it's still got us both fooled. It's absolutely brilliant the way that it's done. And it's so creepy as well that you start the ride with all the skeletons. It's really eerie, and it kind of it gives you the heebie-jeebies, and then you have this moment, and then you're into everything else, and it's just so different from any of the other Pirates rides, because it's not just your standard, you're just going along and going up and going down. You're in scenes, and it's done with screens, and it's just spectacular. And I don't want to give too much away because it's one of those ones that the first time you go in there and experience it, it's just truly magical.
But I think somebody could explain describe the whole ride to you, but until you actually go and ride it, you just don't get it. It's just it's amazing. And even the end of the ride, there's variants to how you'll see it, and it's like each time, hang on a tick, we didn't see that last time, and have these conversations, and you'll think you're going nuts, but there are actually slightly different endings to the ride, which is fantastic. I love it when they put things in the rides that change and add to the rewritability of it. So when you go and visit the park, instead of riding it once and going, right, that's done, we better go back and ride it again and see if things are different. And that's great. That's what every ride should have, is a variance in it.
It's definitely the scale of the ride as well, because you don't just get the feeling of this one, the aspect of having the screens and stuff. You're in this massive complex, and I can't even work out how they fit it into the park itself. You just have this immense space around and above you, and they use it to the nth degree still, but it's just this immense scale. I mean, you've got pirate galleons around you, and it feels like there are pirate galleons around you.
I think what it comes down to is that Imagineers are actually Time Lords, and that attractions are actually TARDISes. So that is why they're bigger on the inside.
You have a good point.
Thank you.
And this, I gather, was another opening day attraction, so it's only just had its second birthday.
Yeah, still a little weeing.
Oh, it will be nice. I know I don't want the whole thing replicated, but it'd be nice to see elements of the technology brought into other pirates. And I know this will never happen for Disneyland in California, but it would be nice for Walt Disney World, or maybe even Paris, to get some of these unique takes.
Yeah, absolutely. Or come up with something else. Surprise us with something new.
Ooh, use the technology but in another way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like an Avengers ride, maybe?
Oh, look at you, fanboy.
Let's find something, that I would stay awake for.
That's true. It's like Michelle Young falls asleep on the ride.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to choose another one, and I'm going to go to Paris, and I'm going to go with Crush's Coaster, because for me, this attraction is completely unique. I have never been on an attraction like this. It starts off all nice and sedate as a dark ride, and I suppose if you've never done this attraction and you're getting into the little clamshell, sort of turtle shell, with two riders facing one way, two riders facing the other, so you're sort of back to back, and the sort of bar descends onto your knee, you're suddenly thinking, this isn't going to be your usual dark ride.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. We spent, the first time that we actually went on this attraction, we spent quite some time in that last stretch of the queue. We also had the wonderful experience of watching people sort of shakily leave the ride because there was a bit of a breakdown, and then got onto it. So for us, a little bit going, oh no, that looks a bit full on. And after going on the ride, I reckon it would have been a terrible one to try and evacuate.
I'd love to have a go at it though. Can you imagine?
You're like the queen of evacuation.
Well, knowing how they evacuated me on Space Mountain, I imagine that it would be a lock and release system where they just push you to the end of the attraction.
I didn't see people getting out of cars, though. They were coming out of, I don't know, outdoors.
I know if you've got a guest assistance card, that to get into the attraction, you don't go through the exit per se. You go down this special sort of exit way, and then you take some steps down, and you literally go under the attraction and then take some steps up, which is quite funny for me, bearing in mind that this is the disabled entrance because it involves steps.
Yeah, right.
So if you're obviously wheelchair bound, you have to go in through the proper official exit. But yeah, and it's quite weird as well because it's an attraction that doesn't stop to let you get on and or off. It just slows down.
Yeah, that's a bit strange, getting onto something that later on is so full on. You'd think that they'd want to take that time to make sure you're all locked in. But yeah, it was good and so safe, but it's such a quick ride in terms of I missed every single time that we actually went through that outside part. I just didn't notice it at all.
That's the thing I like about Disneyland Paris rides as well, because I think it's the only place in the world where, well, actually, no, that's not true, because we just said Tron's got that outside bit as well. But there's very few rides in the world where you've got like that brief outside bit. But Paris has got two of them, with Space Mountain and with Crush's Coaster, where at the start of the ride you've got like a bit of outside before you're back into the ride. And I kind of like it. It gives you that thrill when people get to see the actual ride vehicle, go, oh my God, I want to try that.
And it sort of replicates what I said earlier about Alice in Wonderland, that you've got this element of a story being told, and then it goes into a reveal of the outside, and then you go back to the story. Whereas in this case of Crush's Coaster, the story is sort of retold as you've been riding the Australian Current. And it depends on how the vehicle is loaded to how much sort of spin on the attraction you're going to get. Because if you've got an imbalance between somebody quite large and somebody quite little, you can get that turtle shell going at some speed.
Oh, I can imagine.
It goes up to about 38 miles per hour, so it is fairly fast.
Is that the forward motion or the spinning motion?
That's just the forward motion. I don't think it spins that fast.
No, I wouldn't imagine it would spin that fast, but I wondered whether they took into account the spinning with the forward motion.
I don't know.
Wow. It's very cool. I didn't realise it was that fast.
Yeah, but as you say, it is a short attraction. It's 1 minute 55, but it is totally unique, and I'm surprised that they haven't used this combination of the spinning roller coaster in other parks with a different retelling, because that would have been, to me, a really good idea.
The closest one you got is that one in Dinoland, which is like the same principle, but it's all outside and like a more standard roller coaster.
That's sort of like a cat and mouse attraction type thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly don't get a story.
The spin on that is more fixed, whereas this is more free-flowing on the weight of the vehicle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was a lot more sedate in the spinning.
Yes. But no, the Crush's Coaster is an awesome ride, and it's like, yeah, definitely one you've got to get on. But I think a lot of people might get put off by the line, because usually the line there is like 45 minutes to an hour. And it's one of those ones you want to hit first thing in the morning just to avoid those lines, because there's no fast pass on it.
They have tried out in the past fast pass, but it's currently not in operation. And they do have a single rider, but sometimes the single rider queue can get really congested, because a lot of people think, oh, we'll go single rider, and that queue gets just as bad as the main queue.
I'm not surprised.
That's my top tip for DLP. What about you guys? Where are you next?
Ooh, well, you've just made me think of Ratatouille. So I was actually going to talk Pooh's Honey Hunt.
Okay.
If people have been on Ratatouille, Pooh's Honey Hunt uses a technology that is similar, and it basically takes the classic Winnie the Pooh ride and it makes it more three-dimensional and gives that aspect of being able to take different tracks through the ride depending on which vehicle you're in. Amazing. I don't know whether I'd actually bother going on any Winnie the Pooh rides after that, because it's just it brings more, I think, the depth, and you feel more immersed into the ride as you go through it. What do you reckon, Lou?
Definitely. And there's like in the traditional Pooh ride, you get the Tigger bit where there's like a Tigger cutout kind of thing bouncing behind some bushes, and your vehicle does the whole backwards forwards kind of bouncy thing to simulate the bouncing. Whereas in Pooh's Honey Hunt, you get into this room with a floor, and you've got the screens in front of you, and then you go through this whole Tigger bit, but the whole room actually moves up and down.
Yeah.
So the bouncingness you get is a lot more exaggerated, I think.
Absolutely. And the room where Pooh goes into his dream and hangs out with the woozles and the heffalumps, is it? Again, you've got this depth. So you're spinning around like you're in a mad sort of tea party kind of situation. And, you know, the ride vehicle goes up to different mirrors, and there's different effects in the mirrors. It's almost indescribable, but it's one of those things that once you've done it, it kind of ruins you for life, I must say. Oh, and the end of the ride, every time I ride it, there's this scene with Pooh sort of sticking his head out, and he's found his honey and he's enjoying the honey. I honestly feel like I can smell honey when I go into that room. Lewis wasn't 100% sure on it. He's like, oh, maybe. But I had that amazing sense of that sweet, almost buttery honey on toast smell, and it was amazing.
Oh, sounds so good. When you started talking about Pooh's Honey Hunt, and you mentioned about Ratatouille, obviously that's a unique attraction as well.
Oh, yeah.
And you bear in mind Pooh's Honey Hunt opened in 2000. When you think that's 18 years ago, there's not that many attractions across the Disney sort of catalogue of attractions that have deployed this technology. And I think when you consider that Ratatouille opened in 2014 and the Epcot version's coming in 2021, maybe they are still learning with this technology, because I know the Ratatouille one goes down quite a lot.
Oh, okay.
And they're having to close it at some point this year to do some rectification work with regards to the floor. So maybe this technology they're still not 100% sure on, and it needs some more tweaking, because you think, well, 18 years, you count the number of trackless vehicle rides they've got, it's not that many.
No, that's very true. And maybe you're spot on the money there, that they like to use it, but they want to perfect it before they put too many more versions of it in.
Because the thing that upsets me with the Ratatouille one is sometimes the elements don't work, you know, the heating or the water being sprayed or something.
Oh, okay.
And that heating is so important when you go underneath that grill and you get the heat. Like, if you don't get it, you're going to notice you're not getting it.
Yeah, true. Learning curve, new technology, it enhances our experience, but if it's not there, it detracts it a little bit.
That's very true.
This is completely not in my list as a unique attraction, but the Frozen Forever After attraction, the boat ride that they laid over the original Maelstrom, we went there just after it opened and was so disappointed that the animatronics kept freezing, or Elsa was doing something weird with her arms, or the mapping system wasn't on quite straight on the faces. And it really does let it down when the technology doesn't quite meet the expectations.
And it kind of surprises me that they'd have such big muck-ups like that.
But the lady was telling me, because we went and spoke with the cast members, she said, well, by the time a guest has come to tell us that there is an issue, we have to then stop the attraction, but still let the people that are on the attraction go through. And then we have to see if we can get it fixed. So she said sometimes it can take quite a while, 20 minutes or so, to actually get the attraction cleared, to get the people in to fix it. But the people that they want to fix it might not be available straight away, so they might just keep it running, to keep the crowds happy. Because what would you rather have? An attraction that isn't quite right, or the attraction that's closed?
Yeah, that's true.
Because the thing with that attraction is it's not just a traditional animatronic where it's just a figure that's moving and talking. You're actually projecting the face onto it as well. So there's a lot of moving parts that can go wrong in that particular instance.
Yeah, sorry, I just sort of digressed onto that one. And I suppose while we're talking about the whole trackless one, let's stick in Mystic Manor, which opened in May 2013.
Oh, and another magical one. It's like, as much as I like the whole idea of the Haunted Mansion, this is just such a great way to take something and run with it, obviously with a different ride system, and you still got that creepy element, but it's done in such a different way. Obviously, because of cultural differences, they couldn't have a haunted mansion. I understand that was the reasoning behind it, Lou.
Yeah, but I believe it's something to do with like ghosts and stuff not being a part of their culture and those kind of things. So they decided on going with the Mystic Manor instead, which is just a phenomenal feat of Imagineering in its use of the trackless ride system and special effects, like particularly like lighting and those kind of things. It's just phenomenal.
Well, even
ride.
little things like the little air blasts and those sorts of things that you experience.
Well, the air blast and the coldness is a really important one as well. I was thinking, if you've ever been to Universal Studios in Orlando and at the Hogwarts Express, there's a scene where the Dementors attack the Hogwarts Express, and you're supposed to be like very cold when Dementors attack, but they don't blast in cold air into the cabin you're in to simulate that thing. That are just like have the windows ice up and hope that you psychosomatically feel cold. Whereas on the Mystic Manor ride, you go through this bit where a painting freezes over and there's like a cold wind, and you actually feel cold in that particular instance, and it's a great effect. Really, really good.
Yeah, I just feel like you're like viewing a highlight of everything they thought that they could maybe do in a trackless ride system, and we'll just give it like a mystic kind of creepy kind of feel to some of the things that you're seeing, and I love it.
Yeah, there's a bit in it as well, I think, where a cannon comes to you and like fires at you as well.
Yeah.
And even though you know nothing's going to happen, you instinctively duck.
Yeah.
It's just like you're always going to duck. And I think actually Pooh's Honey Hunt's got a similar thing where they fire something at you as well.
Yeah, that's in the Heffalumps and Woozles bit.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's great.
One day. And I suppose while we're talking trackless, Aquatopia.
Oh, Aquatopia, or as I like to call it, Watertopia. It is amazing. So we kind of looked at it and went, oh, should we go on it? Oh, let's just go on it. And because it didn't really look anything too thrilling or entertaining when you look at it from the outside, but you get onto it and it's set on a pond, I guess you would say. A pond, a lake, mini lake.
Body of water.
Body of water, there you go. So it's outside. I mean, we're really lucky with the weather. I don't know how you'd go in the rain, but anyway. And so you walk out onto a little jetty and you board your vessel, and your vessel just waltzes through that area and it turns and it spins. And it's just, there's something about the gracefulness, and when it spins, it's enough that it's a bit of a thrill, so you're laughing. It's just such a brilliant use of that trackless system in such a unique way, in that they've introduced water into it as well. And I think, were you saying, Lewis, that you do, like if it's the warmer weather, they make it so you do get a bit wet?
Yeah, apparently so, yeah. But we were there in the winter time, so it was not warm enough to springish. Yeah.
It's quite surprising, this technology of having this type of water ride, because it's very different to your traditional Splash Mountain. So I'm surprised that this hasn't been brought into one of the American parks. Totally understand why it's not in Paris, because obviously they get snow. I can see it being in, say, California.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or where would you put it if you were going to put it into Walt Disney World, though?
I think it'd be a good addition to Magic Kingdom. I think it'd be a pretty nice ride again, because you can put your smaller kids and stuff like that onto it. So any rides where you can get your kids on there is certainly keeping with the aesthetic that Walt was trying to do in the first place, where families can go and enjoy the parks together. So yeah, definitely a very Walt Disney kind of ride.
I'd stick it in Epcot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah, Epcot would be a great place for it.
Because it's an additional type of transportation. It's a hovercraft. And there isn't anything of that type at all over in Epcot. But the only thing that would concern me is I know the water parks close down in Walt Disney World and have their annual refurb sort of January, February time, because the weather gets quite cold. So I don't know whether that might have an impact on the level of wetness.
Maybe. But if they had the same system as Japan, where they could actually, make it so you got less or more wet.
But I mean, we rode Aquatopia without getting wet at all, and it's an enjoyable ride. You don't necessarily have to get wet. I mean, if they wanted to do that, all you need to do is have some fountains in there that you can turn off, and then you can have your summer version where it's just like spraying and misting, or your winter version where it's doing nothing.
Good point. Okay, let's move away from trackless then. Have you got another one to add to our list?
Another unique ride in the Asian parks. Well,
who's going to go?
Well,
you go.
I can think of a kind of unique ride, which is it's kind of unique, but it's based on another ride system. Are you thinking about the same one I was thinking of?
I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking about the Iron Man experience at Hong Kong Disneyland.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Iron Man experience at Hong Kong Disneyland is based on Star Tours, but obviously it's Iron Man, so not Star Wars. And it is Iron Man is at the Stark Expo in Hong Kong, and that you're going on a tour in a Stark vehicle to go and see the new Stark Tower that Tony has built in Hong Kong. I think it's actually in Kowloon, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's in almost the same place that the skyscraper in the new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson film Skyscraper is placed. It's I don't know, maybe it's in the same place. I don't know. Just that'd be funny if it was. But so you go on this tour around the skyscraper, and then it gets attacked by Hydra, and then you and Tony and Jarvis fend off an attack by Hydra, who's trying to steal the arc reactor from this building. It's awesome. It's a great ride.
Oh, it is. And it's such a great use of that Star Tours technology as well.
Yeah, and it's brilliant as well, because the thing about a simulator and the Star Tours technology is that if people get a bit bored of the ride after a year or two, you just Star Tours 2 and then the adventure continues, and you just like now he's going to be joined by his Avenger buddies, and you're going to have the Hulk and Captain America and everyone else will be involved. It's going to be great.
Lewis has big plans.
He has indeed. Well, I'm going to take you back to Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to take you on the Finding Nemo submarine voyage, because I know there's a submarine you can go into in other parks, but I feel this one is unique because the original incarnation opened in 1958 and it ran till 1998. So it had a good 40 years. And then it didn't reopen until June 2007, and that's largely thanks to Imagineers like Tony Baxter, who championed its return. And I think adding the franchise of Finding Nemo into it is so successful. But I think the thing is with this, what Disney have done well is that, yes, it's in a submarine, which some people might suffer with claustrophobia. So they've provided a room that you can just go into and sit and still see what you would see if you was on the submarine. And the room is actually themed like you are in the submarine, but you're not. It's not as enclosed, it's not as oppressive. And that, to me, is unique, because I can't think of anywhere else in the whole Disney franchise of parks that they've done that.
And it's a great thing to accommodate. I mean, people's claustrophobia is really, really common. I know you tend to get a bit claustrophobic, don't you, Lou?
Just in some instances, yeah. Yeah.
So it's a great thing to accommodate, but what a great ride as well. Everyone loves a bit of Nemo, let's face it.
It's just an amazing ride when you get into the submarine and you're literally feel like you're under the water and you're going around. And then it's weird though, because you see the ride from the outside and you watch the submarine go around, and then you go into the submarine, and it takes so much longer than you think it would, because they do that great thing where obviously there's a bit where it's actually water, and then you get to a bit where it's mostly screens, but you can never see that distinction between the two.
Nope. It's very, very clever.
Yeah.
No, love it.
Was the original ride, like when they did the original version of the submarine journey without Nemo in it, was it all just the underwater bit? Was it just like animatronics underwater, or was there actually screen stuff in there as well back then?
I never actually got to ride it because I didn't make it out to Disneyland in 1998. I know originally there were real live mermaids that were in the Mermaid Lagoon. I know that because Tommy Allison, a relative of his, was actually one of the mermaids.
Oh, that's just so cool.
Because we put up on our Facebook page some footage of when they opened that ride back in the 50s or 60s, wherever it was. And yeah, you saw the mermaids. I was going, is that animatronics? I think surely they can't have such realistic, lifelike animatronics back then. And I guess they didn't. I guess they're real people. Or real mermaids. Sorry, real mermaids.
Yeah. Mermaids are people too.
Yeah.
Okay, back over to you guys. Where are we going next?
I'm going to stay in Hong Kong, and I want to talk about Grizzly Gulch.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I thought you were going before. I was just like, oh, yeah, oh, cool, we're on the same wavelength. No, we're not. Lewis has gone back to Marvel brain. Grizzly Gulch is like it's a roller coaster version, really, of Big Thunder Mountain, but it's got a little bit of a storyline running in it. Is that how you'd briefly explain it, Lou?
I would say that this is the love child of Big Thunder Mountain and Expedition Everest.
Oh, yeah.
Although I think both Big Thunder Mountain and Expedition Everest are traditional roller coasters, whereas this one has a launch coaster element.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. So basically the storyline element that they have playing through it is that you've got these bears that are up to no good. And so, they blow things up and I think what's the end part? They're just hanging out with their fish, aren't they?
No, they blow things up at the end. They destroy some tracks. So that's similar to your Expedition Everest, because obviously in that it's the Yeti who destroys the tracks, whereas here it's the bears that destroy some strong bears. They're really strong bears.
Oh, they make them tough over in Hong Kong.
Wait, was it? No, it's not destroy the tracks. It's breaks the wire on the cart that's pulling up the hill. Yeah, that's right.
So you've got the ride vehicles going forwards, it goes backwards. There's track swaps that you don't really notice the first time that you're on it. It's great. It really is. And it goes at a fair speed as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, I am now going to go back to Disneyland again.
Ooh.
And I am going to go with the Matterhorn. Because, again, I've been looking at the different type of ride vehicles. I've had hovercrafts, we've had submarines. Well, this is a bobsled.
Pretty unique.
Opened 14th of June, 1959. And when you think about it, wow, I'm quite staggered on its age.
Yeah, that kind of surprises me. So, yeah, wow, okay. So that's only slightly younger than Alice in Wonderland.
And you think about it, well, it's still quite a thrilling attraction. What many people don't appreciate is that there's two different tracks. There's the Fantasyland track and the Tomorrowland one. And depending on which one you go, there's slightly different sort of feels on the attraction.
Ah, so different speeds and turns?
Well, they both technically have the same top speed of 27 miles per hour, but the Tomorrowland track lasts an extra 20 seconds.
Oh, okay.
It's slightly longer. It's about 100 foot longer.
Right. But there's not much difference in the intensity of them.
I believe they are slightly different. Personally, the one I tend to go for is Fantasyland. I personally prefer that one. I find the Tomorrowland one a bit rougher. But again, I suppose it's down to personal preference.
Yeah, that's true.
And for those people who aren't familiar with the attraction, who've not yet been to Disneyland, there's the Abominable Snowman, and he's sort of like trying to sort of swipe and capture you, and So there is some thrill, but it's again, you're inside the Matterhorn mountain, and what makes this unique is as you're going around the mountain, there's cutouts, and you can have some fantastic vistas of the theme park as you're going round. And I think that's what makes this one so special and so unique.
That's pretty cool. I can't wait to go on that one as well.
Would you like another a unique attraction from Tokyo?
Absolutely.
Tokyo Disneyland in the Tomorrowland area has got a unique Monsters attraction, which is the Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek, where you're going through Monstropolis and you're trying to find the monsters, and you're armed with a torch to shine on the monsters and get them to do something, which I don't know if the ride worked as well for us. Like, we were really looking forward to it. We like Monsters Inc. and everything like that, but it just didn't seem to react as I was hoping it would.
Yeah, I think that you found it a little bit, they didn't keep score.
Yeah, well, I think like any ride where it's interactive, you need to have some sort of score base to it, so you feel like you're actually doing something. Whereas with this, it was just shine a light on them and hope that something happened. But they didn't seem to react as much as I was hoping. They didn't seem to do anything.
Oh, it kind of surprises me because, I thought it would have been a nice change for you to not have the score kept, Lewis.
Ha ha ha! Funny. I think Kat's like got tickets on herself, and she's thinking that forever we'll go and do these rides like Buzz Lightyear and Midway Mania. She'll just keep on winning.
What, you've been lulling me into a false sense of security all this time?
That's right. We'll put bets on, and then I'll start winning. But the Monsters Inc. ride it was okay, but I don't know, maybe it's just old. Maybe they just haven't kept it updated enough to make it great, but still really popular attraction.
True.
Like, so again, if you do want to go and try it out, do it first thing in the morning or grab a fast pass for it, because don't wait a long time for this ride because you'll be very disappointed.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with Radiator Springs Races.
Oh yeah.
And I think what makes this unique is that it's got that beautiful dark ride story. Then it's got the thrill element where the vehicles go up to 40 miles per hour, which technically when you're in those vehicles, it feels like it's a lot faster.
Yeah, it certainly does. When you go along that stretch, I think I've got a photo and my hair's like all floofed out behind us because, you do get a decent amount of speed up.
Yeah, I think the way that the vehicle's been designed with the window screen at the front, it allows, the passage of air to make it really make you conceptually believe you're going faster than you are. It's been open now a staggering 6 years, which surprised me as well. It opened in June 2012.
Wow. Oh, no, that makes sense because we rode it the first trip that we had over to the US, didn't we, Lou? And it was still reasonably new in that, wait times were, 2 hours plus?
Yeah, it was a long wait time.
Nice little ride, 4 minutes, 22 seconds. I love it. And I love the fact that you never know if you're going to go through the tyres side or the spray paint side. And that's kind of nice. It adds that little bit of fun element to it because a lot of people say, I've only ridden wheels. I've got to go on it again and get spray paint. And I just love it. It's great. It's the technology of taking the basic storytelling art to the next level, and I love it. I
really hope we get a chance to ride it more than once on this next trip.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You will. Not a problem. Have you any more on your list?
Well, I'm going to do a twofer now. I'm going to take us to Tokyo Disney Sea and talk about 2 attractions there. And these 2 attractions, Kat's laughing.
Only because I saw the look that you gave me.
Yeah. So these 2 attractions, I enjoyed both of them. I certainly enjoyed one a lot more than the other one, but Kat will probably have some choice words to say for one of them. Now, the 2 attractions I'm talking about are in the same area, and one of them is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is a ride that, basically...
It's a ride that no one should ever have to do.
These 2 rides are very self-explanatory just with the titles of them. So one's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and the other one's Journey to the Center of the Earth. So one takes you 20,000 leagues under the sea, and the other one takes you to the center of the earth. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is a ride where you get into a submarine, and you're sitting in front of a big porthole type of thing, and Yeah, it's funny we spoke about Nemo's journey on the submarine before and then talked about, now we're speaking about this one here.
Yeah, I just wanted to forget about it.
Because, so this one takes you under the sea, but that's under the sea in inverted commas kind of thing, because you go through and you're not under the sea.
No joke. You couldn't tell at all.
Yeah, so you go through and you see all these wild and wacky creatures that live under the sea and that sort of thing, and you're looking through your porthole and moving a light around and all that kind of stuff. But Kat doesn't like this ride.
No, I don't, because I to explain the setting, you're in the middle of, what's the volcano? Is it Vesuvius?
I can't remember the name of the volcano.
Okay,
sorry.
so this area is you're walled in.
Prometheus,
thank you. It's all walled in by a volcano, and there's a lake in the center. So I expected to get some underwater action. I really did. I really thought that we were going to be in the lake. It was going to be amazing. Nope, we weren't. We were looking at really average, not underwater scenes. And for the wait, and I think we waited at some total of 20 minutes, it was just such a waste of time. Sorry, I've never felt so negative about an attraction in my life.
Now, across the way from that, we have Journey to the Center of the Earth. And Journey to the Center of the Earth is an amazing ride, brilliantly themed, a ride in sections, because you enter the queue line and you go through like this area of like caves, and you see the like base camps for these different explorers and that sort of stuff. And then you go to
sorry, before you move on from that, and the explorers are all tied in, aren't they, with Harry Hightower? Is it not?
Are they? Okay, I didn't
I thought that was all tied in.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll take that back for now.
Well, and then you go through there, and then you get to the lifts, and you get into the lifts, and they're taking you down to the area where you're going to go in these vehicles, which are like the boring vehicles. So you go down the lift, and so that's an extra element to it there, and then you get into the last line before you get into the loaded onto your ride vehicles. And then you get on the ride vehicles, and it's kind of like the first part of it is a dark ride, and then you reach a part where it's a fast thrill ride bit, which is almost a bit like Test Track in a way. It's just a amazing ride. There's like animatronics in there. There's a massive animatronic. Just really immersive, fun ride that you want to do over and over and over again.
And it's just the way that it brings you into the ride as well, and that it's so quirky. Like, none of it makes any sense. It's just really quirky and different, and I love it.
Yeah, because the creatures you see in the center of the earth are all like alien-y kind of looking creatures and
crystals
stuff.
And weird stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very cool, very cool.
Sounds fun. Okay. Oh, gosh, what have I got left on my list? Let me just have a little look. I'm going to go to Walt Disney World. I've not really talked a great deal about Walt Disney World, I must admit. And this is an attraction that Kat and Lewis, you've yet to experience, because it opened on the 27th of May in 2017, and it's the Flight of Passage.
Ooh, one that we can't wait to go on.
Yeah, and I highly, highly recommend that you get fast passes and you get a rope drop to go on and try and get onto this quite early. Whilst it churns through just over 1,400 guests per hour, my experience of being there last year is that one of the bays kept breaking down. So the capacity was a lot less, so the queues was a lot more. So it's not a great fit if you're waiting. And some waits 2.5 hours. It's really hard going. And you've got to bear in mind there's no toilet facilities once you're in those attractions.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I never thought of that with those big long wait times.
But it is absolutely worth it. The pre-show in my mind is overdone because there's two separate elements of pre-show, and to me one would have been sufficient. They've over-egged it a little bit. But once on the attraction and you sat on that little bike, and it is just fantastic. I love it. There's nothing like it. It's like soaring, but personalised to you because you're on a vehicle. You've got that breathing navi, sensation on your body, and it just feels so real that you are travelling through what you are seeing. So I love that. And my very last one, again, is Walt Disney World. And this is purely down to the fact it's the fastest Disney attraction. And test track, 64.9 miles per hour. First incarnation opened in March 1999. It was then used the role of a test track dummy. And I loved that. It revamped in December 2012, and it's now where you're customising your vehicle and taking it out and testing its parameters on the test track. And it's, again, a great story, but for me, I loved the other one better. But it lost its shine a little bit because I've had so many ride evacs on this that when you see it's literally the inside bit is made out of MDF painted black with some glow paint on it, it kind of loses its sheen a little bit.
Yeah, that would be a big disappointment.
But it's an amazing attraction. I love going on it, and it's especially great going on the outdoor portion when it just starts to rain and you get those bullets of raindrops in your face.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Much better than bugs.
Yeah, that's true as well.
So basically that's it on my list. There are some other quick notable mentions. I don't think you can talk about unique offerings without mentioning Haunted Mansion Holiday and It's a Small World Holiday because they're unique.
That's true.
Incredicoaster, that's unique. It's a outdoor roller coaster with an inversion, and that's unique. Then you've got Rock and Roller Coaster in Walt Disney World and in Disneyland Paris. That's got a dark ride, that's an inversion, but it's not unique because they're in different parks. But the Paris one's nowhere near as good as the Walt Disney World version. And then I've saved the last notable mention to the last, and that is Phantom Manor, because purely it is a very unique take on the story to fit in with the whole Frontierland story. But at the moment it's under refurbishment, and it will be interesting to see what that refurb brings.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. Might be a good reason to book a ticket to Paris.
That's going to be awesome. There is two other ones that we that I can think of as well. They're both, well, Tower of Terror-ish, but you've got the Tower of Terror in Tokyo Disney Sea, which is a completely different Tower of Terror to the traditional one that you've got in Orlando and you formerly had in Disneyland, and you've also got Disneyland Paris. The Tower of Terror in Tokyo is a guy called Harry Hightower who got this mystic tiki kind of doll thing that cursed him and caused him to disappear and stuff, and it was an amazing ride. So that was definitely one I would highly recommend we'll go and do if they're in Japan. And
it's tied in with the
Mystic Manor.
With the Mystic Manor storyline. So Harry Hightower and who's the explorer from Mystic Manor? Oh, that's awful. They both know each other, so like they're part of this explorer group, which I'm pretty sure is also tied in with Journey to the Center of the Earth as well. But I'd have to confirm that.
And the final one, of course, would be Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout as well, which is a very unique ride based on, it was formerly a Tower of Terror, but now it's a unique ride of its own. So that one I'm looking forward to jumping on in August, at least a couple of times. Maybe
once.
Great ideas there, guys. I think we're going to wrap up this conversation. If any of our listeners have got one they would like to add to this list, please let us know. We would love to hear from them. Where can people find Diz Down Under?
Well, people can find Diz Down Under. You can either go to the Gentlemen of Pop Culture website to find both Diz Down Under and Unscripted the Film Show, both of the podcasts on our network. And you could also find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, all as Diz Down Under.
Absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend you do, because they're sharing their travels. And with an upcoming Walt Disney World and Disney Cruise Line and Disneyland trip, there's a lot to hear. If you'd like to contact the Disney Dream Girls, you can find us at Diz Dream Girls on Twitter and Instagram. Our email address is info@disneydreamgirls.com. You can listen to us in all the wonderful podcast catching places. We're now actually on Spotify too, so that's a new place. So, hopefully we're on Spotify anyway. And we will be back very, very soon with some more Disney chat.